Karen. Europe forged a weapon so volatile, most history books barely understand its chemistry. It weighed barely 10 pounds. It paralyzed the greatest armored knights on Earth. Every inch of it built by blacksmiths who had never seen an explosion. That was the 15th century. This is the arquebus. The weapon exists because of what happened on the left. Wait, Europe literally had 0 firearms. Peasant soldiers went to the battlefield. They never came back. Every sword they swung was paid for in blood. Now, watch what they actually forged.
But generals warned, if this pipe fails, it could make the battlefield far deadlier for the user. 1400s, full-plate armor ruled the continent. Their knights moved at 20 miles per hour on horseback. What came next was unstoppable. They didn't parry peasant spears. They used momentum. Not a collision, a precision strike tearing through solid infantry blocks. Nothing in its way survived. 90% of peasant militias failed in that single hour. Every blacksmith in Europe took notice. The continent's strongest heavy cavalry destroyed infantry in seconds. It did not break them from the front.
Sharon. The steel lances pierced below the shield line, eroded the formation. The infantry vanished. That is the engineering problem. Steel armor made men immune to arrows. The longbow took 10 years to master. The crossbow took too long to reload. How do you design a weapon to defeat the greatest armor on Earth when you have uneducated peasants? Here is the brutal truth. This weapon was never designed to cut. Here's the crazy part. Most of this weapon's genius is chemical and structural. Only the smoke shows.
Alchemists modeled this system 200 times in stone mortars before placing one single gun on the field. A 40-inch wrought iron barrel installed straight onto a wooden stock. 12,000 separate gunsmiths. If even one blacksmith gets the iron slag inclusions wrong, a gap opens in the crystalline structure. The barrel explodes immediately. Zero tolerance. Before one barrel is forged, survey teams drill the caves? No, they harvest manure in the dark. Every crystal of saltpeter is refined. 3 ingredients: saltpeter, charcoal, sulfur.
Each requires completely different chemical engineering underneath. First task, reverse engineer the fire that destroys them. Study every failure mode. Then build a new one deadlier with a trigger. 12,000 guns built piece by piece before a single soldier touches the battlefield. This step takes months. They cleared entire forests just for the charcoal. Willow wood follows the burners within minutes, always. The enemy's speed gave them seconds on the field. Every single minute was counted. The peasant soldiers cannot even pull a 100-pound longbow.
The battlefield is dangerously elitist down there. The arquebus spreads the load. The infantry points a tube. Simple, effective, crisis over. They are building a handheld explosion chamber standing straight up in the active combat zone. Right now, mechanics guide a massive red-hot flat strip of iron onto the anvil. Scalp welding. Blacksmiths wrap the glowing metal around a hardened steel mandrel. They hammer weld the longitudinal seam. They must heat the iron to a perfect paste-like texture. One cold strike, the seam stays open.
When the gun fires, that seam bursts and takes the shooter's face off. They check the weld tension by hand. They cannot see the enemy armor yet. They must trust the metallurgy completely. After the forge comes the reaming, hand-operated steel bits grinding the rough interior into a uniform cylinder. Between the barrel and the powder sits a tiny touch hole. Miss it, the explosion slowly bleeds away momentum. After weeks of hammering, the weapon enters the testing ground. Watch what comes next. That 10-pound pipe fights the expanding gas, not the arriving knight.
Powder ignition is what destroys barrels. One spark touches the chamber. The entire alignment is now locked. Drop the match first. Crush the chemical bonds. Then the lead ball drives straight through the steel plate. Clean. The expanding gas trying to break out is more dangerous than arriving cavalry. Backwash pressure pulls the iron barrel with it. 12,000 soldiers running full speed across the mud. One breakdown stalls the whole firing cycle. Millimeter-wide touch holes, no more, no less. Too wide, and the gas never reaches the muzzle velocity.
Inside every arquebus barrel, forged iron reinforcement, like a modern pipe bomb but directed at the enemy. To seal the rear of the barrel, a forged plug is used, a threaded breech plug, a heavy iron screw sealing the explosion chamber. It anchors the barrel to the wood through a top strap. Miss one thread during forging, the explosive gas rips the plug out backward into the soldier's skull. 100% containment, or the captain shuts the attack down. Every single barrel tested here. Drop the double charge of powder. Fire on solid oak. Nothing moves.
At 85% containment, the barrel cracks open and kills the shooter. 60 days until the first French heavy cavalry arrives. Counting that threaded core is the weapon's internal locking mechanism. Well-forged iron stops the gas permeating through the grain separating. One wave of heavy heat, the metal rips apart. The entire firing line dies. A locking weld network inside the tube. Cover the tip with reinforced steel before every battle. Always. The match hits the pan. Thousands of peasant soldiers are firing. This is the critical part. This gun has a serpentine lever locking it down.
Generals watch it breathe and smoke every day forever. The slow match is boiled in lye and saltpeter. It burns at exactly 1 inch per hour. Too fast and the soldier runs out of fire. Too slow and the match dies in the wind. The spark must perfectly pierce the touch hole before any soldier steps forward. One bump creates a misfire. 3 materials, 3 jobs. Grip the slow match, seal against water, carry the explosive load. All one weapon. If one of these iron springs bends in the forge, it ruins the entire week's schedule. Every pin connects the trigger to the match.
One snapped pin breaks everything. Leverage flows through every lock. Perfect drop, no bouncing. That spring must resist a terrified peasant pulling it hard. Wrong angle and the burning match bounces off the pan. One bad drop fails the whole regiment today. Listen to that crack. Solid splintering means good penetration. A hollow hissing sound means this peasant gets trampled. Zero tolerance for defects on primitive firearms. That wrought iron barrel is worth a fortune. It still gets melted down if imperfect. 40-inch barrels on unstable muddy fields. Spotters at every flank.
12,000 guns to cover. That iron is tapered, thicker at the breech, folded to 5 millimeters thickness. A wind gust pulls the priming powder off a 10-pound steel tube. That gun takes a chemical explosion at 1,000 degrees. It must hold for 100 battles. A 1-ounce lead ball sounds boring until you picture an explosion ripping each night apart. The tighter the barrel, the deadlier the lead ball seals itself. Spherical lead cast in iron molds. Straight bores on curved iron. 2 millimeter windage gaps opening. Gas forces through and undermines everything below. If the ball is too tight, it jams midway.
Charon. The gun becomes a pipe bomb. Custom forged mandrels. Every gap closes to 0. One barrel perfectly sealed. 1 minute seals 400 shots. But the cavalry charge is counting down. 12,000 men racing simultaneously. The matchlock design throws the enemy's momentum back against them. One detail protects thousands. The serpentine mechanism grabs every spark below through iron jaws. One integrated structure, not individual stacked pieces. Spring maxed at 10 pounds of pressure. If it fails mid-pull, a cold joint forms, weapon compromised. The only decoration on 12,000 guns, an iron sight on the tip.
They measured the penetration depth for 5 years after completion. Monitoring never stops. Iron, saltpeter, lead. From outside, it just looks like a stick. It is not. The powder mix matters as much as the steel. A failed mix is what killed the early prototypes. If the powder burns too slow, the gas must go somewhere safe. The muzzle is that escape route. They wet mix the powder with urine and alcohol, corning the powder, pressing it into cakes and shattering it. 300% more explosive power. 3-ounce powder blocks.
Karen. Each crystal must interlock chemically or the entire reaction shifts in the first spark. One nitrate always points forward, catching the next carbon above. That interlock absorbs enemy armor on impact. They are not mixed precisely. They are crushed. They find their own unstable position, chaos creating order. The gaps between the powder grains are not a weakness. They are the mechanism. Fire flows through. Armor superiority dissipates. One peasant legion completely reloads. Now imagine that multiplied by 50 million grains of black powder. There is a formula for this.
Kinetic energy input-output minimum lead weight. 40 volleys per hour. 12,000 guns of front line to armor. This firing line never stops, day or night. Below the smoke line, steel breastplates pile up unseen. Sound shows what no eye can reach. The lead ball exhausts the night first. Every arquebus section is tested in a firing range right now, and some results are unexpected. 12,000 guns in the army, each one a death trap if a single trigger fails to release. The iron breech is twice as thick as normal. This is exactly where chemical forces concentrate hardest. 3 seconds from pull to ignition.
The only window before the enemy horse impacts. A finger pull triggers automatic drop. No aiming needed to push it. Charging starts. Serpentine begins falling immediately. 15 millimeters clearance. 10 pounds of iron. 40 kilometers per hour wind blowing the match. 1.5 times design pressure. If one of the springs breaks, the gun completely fails. A French knight caught under this volley when the trap triggers. The armor crushes in 3 seconds. A 40-inch iron curtain must seal the soldiers together before the cavalry separates them. Stored open at the pan, leverage closes it. Human strength fails.
The match still comes down. 12,000 guns, 1 command flag, 4 minutes 20 seconds to reload. Europe drills this every day on the mud. 12,000 men, 1 signal, every match, every trigger. The weapon thinks for itself. In heavy rain sections, there is no firing. The pan stays locked under a cover. Bronze covers 2 millimeters thick, 50 kilometers per hour winds during the storm. Cover bolted to barrel. Nothing moves. A 10-pound gun aiming in 3-meter formations. Watch what happens. The enemy knight loses momentum in 30-knot winds. That 1-ounce ball drops exactly on its mark.
The new peasant army is stronger than the aristocratic record it replaced. Always build back stronger. If this powder fails the burn test, the entire week's batch goes to the fire. 2 millimeters of residue. The iron inside will not see rust for at least 100 battles. The independent captain can fail any gun and order it rebuilt. 12,000 crews under that pressure constantly. Twice the design load on the barrel frame. Blacksmiths watch the iron swell. It holds well. 14 millimeters of differential expansion across 12,000 guns. Exceptional. The Battle of Pavia strikes. 30,000 enemy knights attack.
All 12,000 triggers are now pulling simultaneously. 0 burst barrels, 0 escaped knights after a real volley impact. That result is extraordinary chemical performance. Watch this. The smoke is clearing on the last section. The last enemy knight is down. The battlefield is almost sealed, almost theirs. A scout is watching the full line right now. What it witnesses will change engineering forever. These tubes are not just noisy sticks. They are the death of medieval warfare, designed from chemical science. Peasants walk across them now, march forward, conquer every castle.
The mud became a firing range.